Hello and welcome to another My NTND marriage video. I wanted to talk about daily interactions, how sort of common interactions go, sort of just general day to day. And of course, I will give you examples. Example number one. Before COVID, I had my cousin coming around. And hubby was running around like a headless chook, stressing about the fact that the house wasn't tidy, there was clothes on the clothes horse, you know, just general sort of things that needed to be put away. But he was stressing about it and making everybody else stressed in the meantime. And I'd said to him, look, don't stress about it, it's my cousin, she's not going to judge. I've been to her house and she's got clothes hanging up inside and, you know, this is how people generally live, it's okay. She comes over, the visit's fine, no dramas. Cut to more recently, pre-COVID, post-COVID. I can never remember language, it's a thing that's going on with me at the moment. I've heard that a lot of NT wives are in similar boats, so if that's you, let me know. But back to the story. Recently we had some important person coming over. I can't remember what they were for, maybe dropping off some paperwork or something. And they'd never been to the house before. And I said to hubby, I think we should do a quick, just general tidy up, so that when they come, the house isn't so messy. And he says in this mocking, condescending tone, I thought you didn't care about how the house looked. And I'm thinking, for somebody who's got a really crappy memory, you sure remembered that thing that happened years ago. Okay then. I said to him, you do know the difference between people coming over who you can be yourself around and people coming over who you can't and you have to impress. I said, you know the difference, yeah? And he says, can't we just drop it? And I was like, interesting, considering you're the one who raised the subject. And I said to him, but do you know the difference between the two? And he goes, of course I do. I said, alrighty, just for a moment there I thought you didn't. And I walked away and left it at that. And so that's how a general conversation with us will go. They'll just randomly have a dig now and again, just throw it out there. So for example, he had stuff that he couldn't fit in his cupboard. And just to sort of give you the backstory, he has double the cupboard space, double the drawer space, double the clothes, double everything. And he was complaining to me that he can't fit any stuff in because of all my crap in the cupboard. And I was like, okay, it's mostly yours, but... And I didn't argue with him. I don't go there anymore. I'm not interested in having these to and fro's with him because they can just turn into a ridiculous shit fight. And so I go, you know, and leave it at that. And he'll say things like, we need to do a hard rubbish so we can throw out all your shit. Okay, no problem, babe. And sometimes I'll say to him, just in a sort of joking manner to lighten the situation, lighten the mood, I'll say to him, it must be so hard being you in a world full of this much imperfection. And he kind of grins, you know. So yeah, that's a kind of general chit chat we'll have, just coasting along, and he'll have this random little dig here, a random dig there. It's not the savage digs he used to have before, where he'd be losing his mind because dishes weren't put away and things like this. So he's calmed down. But just every now and then he'll just do this mocking, condescending thing. I don't know the whys behind it. Like, everybody does something because they get a payoff. That's why we do the things that we do. So what's his payoff? Does he get to feel better, superior in a world where Aspies aren't seen as superior or equal? Is there something within himself that he's feeling that he can't put into words, and using that mocking tone eases that noise or quietens his mind? I don't know. We did have one situation about 6 months, a year ago, I can't remember now, And we ended up in a yelling match. And this type of interaction is rare for he and I. So I was cooking and I'd asked him to help by preparing the veggies, cutting and cooking them. And after he was done, I decided that I'll add some flavours to the veggies that go with the flavours of the other dishes that I was cooking. And he comes charging out of nowhere. I don't even know where he came from. And he's yelling. He's like a bull with the horns. He comes charging. And he starts yelling at me about, don't you dare put anything on those veggies. You asked me to take care of them. Now you're taking over. I mean, just aggro. And I was already poised above, ready to drop the stuff in. And so I just kind of go, sing, sing. And he loses it. Because I didn't stop. I just kept going. And he's gone. He's raging. And normally I don't really arc up. But this time something overtook me. Something ludicrous. And I yelled back. I said to him, I was asking you to help me out. It's still my dish. You're just helping me cook the vegetables. But I still get to determine which flavours at the end of the day it's going to go with, yada, yada, yada. He didn't agree with me. I didn't agree with him. The two of us are backwards and forwards. We're pretty much repeating the same sentence 50 different ways for about a half an hour, yelling at each other, the type of argument that the neighbours could probably hear. And I was kind of sort of watching it unfold as you do and just thinking this is just madness. And to this day, if I raised that situation with him, he'll be just as agitated and want to insist that he was right, and then I want to insist that I was right. So we have not resolved that issue. We've just put it to bed because there's no conclusion. So those kinds of interactions with he and I, they're rare. And I think that they're rare because I usually don't yell back. I will usually just let him say his piece and just go, because it's easier just to avoid an argument. And to be honest, I mean, they're really silly things to argue about, like cupboard space or flavours on vegetables. They're not big things, they're not bad things that have happened. It's not like, say, he caught me cheating, for example, which is maybe something you want to yell at. It's just small things, trivial things that he'll have shots at. And so these days I don't engage. I do a lot of just watching him and going, and then walking away. Because there's just no point in engaging, just makes everything worse. So something that he would be facing, something that I do to him, would be my little reminders of rules, I guess, or what do you call them? Just ways you do things in the house. It's not necessarily rules, but you know, you've got ways of doing things. And he will just break those rules, so to speak, like using that term. For example, I'll say to him, remember, you don't bring the dog in if you're not going to look after it, because it might go poo and wee in a corner. You've got to keep an eye on the dog, or else don't bring him inside. Next minute, there's the dog inside, nobody's looking after him. And I'll say to husband, remember, we don't let the dog in unless somebody's looking after him. A week later, there it is again, the dog inside, nobody's looking after him. So I'll then remind husband again. Other things like he'll do the children's chores for them. So he'll go into the kitchen and start putting away their dishes. And they've each got sections of dishes that they do. So one child knows that the dishes go there, another child knows that those dishes go there, and they each do their part. And hubby will just do the job for them. And I'll say to him, don't do their chores for them, go and ask them to do it. And he says, it's just easier if I do. So he'll do their chores for them all of the time. When I say all of the time, a lot of the time. And he doesn't know where any of the dishes go. He just guesses. And okay, he has good guesses. He's not putting like, you know, things that would go there all the way over there. He's got a general idea, but he doesn't get it right. And then we'll all go to try and find something and we can't find it because he's the one who's put the dishes away. And so then the children will be saying, don't put the dishes away, you don't know where they go. And he'll say, yeah. 2 days later he's putting the dishes away. Or I'll say to him, remember, son has to go to bed at this time and you have to take the iPad out of his room when he goes to bed. Yeah. Next minute, the iPad's not out in the kitchen where it should be and I have to go back in and get it. And just general things like this, like constantly forgetting the rhythm of the house and us reminding him of the rhythm of the house. And not in a badgering, you suck kind of way, just a nice, soft reminder that this is the rhythm of the house. And he's not doing that deliberately. He's not there thinking, I'm just going to be spiteful and let the dog in and let it poo and wee in a corner and ha 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 funny. He's just doing it because he forgets. There's so many things to remember and he doesn't remember much of them. So we don't sort of get cross at him for it. We just kind of have these sort of gentle reminders, you know. So they're the sort of things I suppose that he would be facing if he was to say, what's your life like? And they're the things that he would probably tell people. That's if, of course, he even remembered it. But they're the types of conversations that we generally have. So that's pretty much how it goes. We just kind of coast along. You know, I'll sometimes go up to him and say, what are you doing? What are you watching? What are you looking at on some Facebook post that he's reading or something? Sometimes he'll come up to me and say, what series are you watching now? Or what are you doing now? You know, general chit chat. But every now and then there'll just be that funny mocking tone of his. Rarely there'll be an argument, and quite often it's us reminding him of things that he has forgotten. Oh, a classic one. There's a door to the outside that you can't access from anywhere in the house, like from the front of the house. You would have to break into the garden in order to access this door to get inside the house. So it's not a not safety thing, but I don't like it being left unlocked, because should anybody get into the yard, they could just get inside if that door isn't locked. And I'll say to him, you need to lock that door. And he isn't locking that door. Years later, he's still not locking that door. So I've put a sign above the door handle that says, lock me. And he still isn't locking the door. The 3 or 4 times that he has locked the door is when I've gone out and needed to come back in through that door, only to find that I'm locked out. And they're the only times that he's locked it. And I did ask him, because I did wonder, I said, are you doing that deliberately? Like, is this some sort of passive aggressive, because she wants me to lock the door, I'll show her I'm locking the door, ha ha ha, I'm going to lock her out? And he says, no, I didn't even think about that. Okay then, no problem. But weeks and months later, same thing. He doesn't lock the door unless he's accidentally, inadvertently locked me out. I said to him, I'm thinking about putting a swear word above it, saying F and lock the door, because he hates swear words. I said to him, maybe that will make you lock the door, because I don't like that not feeling safe thing when I'm inside and I'll go past at night time and see that door's unlocked. But he doesn't think about that. I guess he feels safe. He's a bloke, maybe it's a bloke thing. So yeah, they're just sort of general things that he'll just forget about. And as I say, not deliberate, he's not trying to be spiteful, just how it rolls. So let me know, your day-to-day, is that sort of how it goes for you? Are you writing your husband and being awful to them? I say husband, it could be a wife. Obviously there's females on the spectrum who are in relationships as well. Or is it just general chit-chat? Do you do a lot of that avoiding arguments thing because you know that it's not going to end well, or you avoid raising subjects or bringing up subjects because you know it's not going to end well? How does your day-to-day go? Comment below, love to hear from you, and thank you for taking the time to watch my video.